Welcome back to Factorio Ribbon World. My name is Nilaus, and this is the weekly recap where we just catch up on what happened on our live stream. I'm doing this Let's Play over on Twitch TV/Nilaus. I'm doing it Tuesday, Thursdays, and Sundays at 8 p.m. Central European Time. Very welcome to drop by, but if you are not able to drop by, if you fall behind, if you fell asleep during the live stream and kind of missed out on what happened, then I do these recaps so that you can catch up on what's going on. Now, I do encourage you to come check it out if you want to, but otherwise, there's this part, and there's also the VODs over on my Twitch TV, Nilaus TV channel, so that's a second YouTube channel, link in the description. Anyway, we left off at the end of last time with having built new and exciting signs for red, green, purple, and blue, and they're really working well. What I'm doing is, aside from what I'm doing different from my masterclass build is that on my masterclass build, I of course have Mark III modules here and Mark III modules here. I can't afford to do that yet, neither from a power perspective or from a resource perspective. So I'm going to have to do it with Mark Is, but then it can easily upgrade. The target here is that they are each working according to, per minute, about 600. So if I can get all of this up and running, I can actually get to 600 signs per minute. And then from there on, we can scale up towards the 1000. What I have here is a new mod that we've been added, or not a new mod, but a new feature to the mod, basically setting a target where I want to try to see if I can make this weird little ribbon world base get to a signs per minute target that is determined by the number of hype chains. Very convoluted calculation, but here are the leaderboard. Here is the leaderboard for the hype chain, how many hype chains each of these people have won, and that gives some points, and those points will just add up together here, and that will be sort of my target that I have to aim for. Cool. That was where we left off, and naturally after doing this, there are only two sciences that we really need to do, and that's the yellow science and the space science. So we should get started on yellow science over on this location here. It's going to take a bit of configuration to set up, because yellow science will take a lot of inputs in terms of multiple inputs. So let's see how that can work out in this base. Sometimes this is what happens, and this is why we don't always make as fast progress as I would like to do, because thank you, science. Sometimes, as this is a live stream, then we have interaction, and it allows users or viewers to drop bombs on my base at random intervals, sort of nearby where I am. And luckily, this did not take out any of the nuclear reactors, but it did sort of take out a bit around here, which kind of stops or halts our production of getting this yellow science up and running. Now, this yellow science is of course taking way too many materials, so I'm gonna have to bring a lot of them in by robots here, and that will be blue is coming in by robots, and also low density structures are coming in by robots, but also batteries are coming in by robots. So we also need to make sure that we have good battery production as well for this. And let's see, and down here, what else are we getting in? We are getting in from this side. We're getting the green circuits in. We're getting the lubricant in. No. Yes, this will be lubricant, but it's not been set up yet. It was just in the progress of setting things up here. From the top, we will also get two more things. That will be the steel, and it'll be iron. So iron and steel coming in. Not really being used in very high quantity, but it's enough to get this going here. More distractions are abound, and we had a massive insurgency of biters in our base, and they will be pushed back. Oh, and there are also more coming in, also more bombs dropping, and that is exactly. Sometimes there will be a flurry of attacks, and you can see this is already broken, and now it gets even more broken.
There seems to be a little problem with one of your locomotives.
Yeah, there seems to be a problem with my locomotives. There absolutely are problems with our locomotives. And also on quelling the insurgency in the base, we have it here. Luckily, we are using personal lasers, but once they get to a certain size, they will build up a large attack force before they actually do anything. So if you're, if I'm responding quick enough, then I will be able to take out the attack force before they actually start attacking my nuclear power plant, for example. But not always. Sometimes they will start munching on it, specifically if I'm doing something else, or I forget that there could be like a few stragglers over here. So that means we are getting pushed back again, and you can see here we are getting more attacks coming in. And we'll just show you what I have built as well. I've started just throwing down in desperation laser turrets everywhere because that was necessary. So as you can see here, if I go there really quickly, there won't really be a lot of things spawning, and it's quite easy to take them out. I want to go over and show you what we've done, but most of the things in the base are actually just completely stalled now. This is one of those, well, a hype train that just leads to a flurry of activity, and we just have a blast with blasting the base for a bit, and then it's back to building the factory again for some hours again. So it's a really cool balance of mixing that bursts of panic with some other things. But all things being said, we now have our yellow signs operational, is working here, and it's sending things back to the home base. Actually, I'm wondering why it's not working. Oh, it's not working because we're not getting those low density structures in, because someone wrecked our low density structure build, and we have more biters coming in. Well, that's something that I can take care of on my own. What I'd rather do is show what the next thing we want to do is all about. That's, of course, starting looking at the new labs, and maybe also doing some cleanup back in the old base as well. Our original base has now been cleaned up. You can see here, this used to be our build for yellow signs. Now I've taken out the yellow signs, and now it's just a dedicated build for robots, so we can get that. We've cleaned out all the other signs parts here. That was blue signs, other stuff as well. We put in a more decent build for batteries as well. At this point, I don't have any build for accumulators, and that's going to be a problem soon enough. So that's just a bit of cleanup back here in the base, and once we've done that, we can get started on making some new science modules before going into working on the space science. I found this spot over the lubricant build that we had a bit of room, and it's kind of close to, well, it's kind of close to the middle, but it's mainly close to the science facilities, and that means we can build a dedicated science lab build here. This is what it looks like. There are dedicated inserters for all except for the purple and military, because you'll very, very rarely be using more than one of these, and that's the only case is the follower robots infinite research, which I'm not going to be doing. So this is a good science build this one can make. Let's have a look per minute, and that's per minute 345. So obviously if everything is all good, then we'll get 345. What I also have built is a alarm system here. I definitely need to move things away just a bit, because I can't see a damn thing what's going on here. I should be able to see what's in each of the boxes, but what I can see is that we don't have any white signs at all. So once that should also be expected, because I have made new designs for red, green, purple, blue, and yellow, but not a new build for our space science. That means that is probably the next thing. But at least now we have a more dedicated build. This one can go up, as I said, up to 345. So let's try and aim for 345. Right now it's nothing, and it will just go back and forth between nothing and 345 when a new rocket is launched. So I'll need to work on the rocket. So the rocket is still something we built in for the original rocket launches, but that will need a lot of load structures, radio rocket control units, and the rocket fuel needs to be built from here. Here we're looking at the new rocket control unit build. This is also a build that is designed for 22.5 space science per second build, and then I have downscaled it so it is only using the Mark 1 modules, and then we'll probably be pretty okay for launching enough rockets for that. So this is the first one. What I've also been doing is I put in some reinforced concrete here, because that means we can run faster and respond quicker when something bad happens. If you look up here in the queue here, how aggressive it is, we have 16 times 5 biter nests, so 80 biter nests that are in queue to spawn. They'll spawn every minute somewhere in the base, and on top of that there are 9 bombs to be dropped everywhere. So this is just following a massive hype train, and we're basically in the middle of sort of putting out fires, so it'll be taking a bit of time before we can actually get to complete the rocket control unit build. But you know, that's the kind of it. Sometimes, hopefully, once in a while, there will be some massive attacks that I need to repel, so that we can go back to building, and hopefully they will not be sort of destroying too much of my base as this goes along. But what this is more of the story of how we built the base. So we will be ignoring all of this and moving on to once the panic has subsided, and we can then go on with the design of this part. Now the panic has subsided and the rocket control unit is completed, working. It looks great when it comes like this. Going in here and now it's just idle as we would expect. And what we're doing here is I'm setting it up to throw it away, and then always make sure that I don't have more than 2,000 in my in my logistics network. I don't think that might mean that it will eventually, or it will mean that it will go all the way over to the stockpile here in the beginning. One of these will probably have radio controllers, yes. And then from here, it'll be brought back to the launcher here. So that definitely something we want to make sure that doesn't happen. So let's, but that's another part. What I've also done, we have the perimeter here, but based on the hype chain, there's been ample opportunity to expand. So what did we get it to expand? We expanded into some new copper, which is going to be really handy to get more copper. We also got more coal. That's also going to be really nice that's our only way to get new oil in the base. So that's good. And we now have over to the next stop. At this point, we don't see any more patches out here, which is kind of unfortunate, because that means we are going to have problems expanding. Although, that being said, after the last hype train, there was a decision for these things. Every event here can be choosing, and they chose new ore patches, so they spawned a new ore patch right there, and the other one was a coal that spawned right there. So that's really nice, and that's just immediately be filtered in here, so we have more coal available. We're just tapping the starter coal, and that's actually not even the starter coal. This spawn and this spawn, they spawn really next to each other, and they are now going in here to here, and they'll be brought, but for example, mainly into the plastic build. But I will also probably be needing an additional oil facility at some point when I need to scale up plastic. But this is now the space we have. There are 2 more locations. Well, technically there's only 1 location because this is kind of busy. So we are going to continue after we have the rocket control unit. Then it makes sense for us to get on with the next, and that's going to be the rocket fuel, because we already have low density. That's something we built when we wanted the yellow signs. So we have the 3 lanes of yellows of low density structure. So all we need now is a new rocket control unit, and what better place to build it than here. And again, this is a pretty straightforward build. Well, it actually isn't a straightforward build, but it's a pretty straightforward build from a perspective of if you've seen the masterclass, because the masterclass already explains it and designs it. So what we need to do now is a very, very simple thing. Import some light oil. Now, light oil is actually a problem because we're not exporting light oil. What we also have done now is tap the coal here. So we have more coal facilities here. But the thing is, in our old design for coal liquefaction, we were not really exporting the light oil. We were only exporting the petroleum because that was used for plastic. But now I need to also export the light oil because that design is a light oil based design. So what we need to go back here and figure out if we can get that to export light oil as well. And the design I built here is very much focused on petroleum. And because it's so focused on petroleum, it does have this disadvantage that is not super easy to do. But I'm going to build it here. This is the light oil. And on this one, we are now exporting light oil. And I can't really constrain it in any way. Because usually you would say, okay, only do the conversion of light oil to petroleum if there's enough light oil here. Now I can't really do that because of the way that it works, but what I can do is just demanding it in different interims, and you can see here, this one just came in and filled up, so there's a deficit here, and after that it'll probably get stuck for a bit. I don't think it will jam, but it can accidentally jam if we don't use enough petroleum. Then it will jam. So that's something we need to keep in mind of. What you can also see is our reinforced concrete. I'm just gradually spreading it further back towards home, and we're now reaching over here. So there's just a bit of a stretch until we have everything upgraded. The path is upgraded as well. With the rocket fuel working, and more trees have spawned than we care to like, but they are then spawned. That means we have low density structures, rocket control units, and rocket fuel all built in very large quantity, and therefore it's time for us to build a new design for our rocket launchers. I built 2, but I'm only going to need 1 for a very, very long time. But if this goes above 1,000 per minute, and I think it will, then I will need to have 2 eventually. So I might as well design the whole thing for what it's worth. And figuring out what this one is going to launch per minute is kind of complicated, but it's definitely to a point where it's not really going to be the constraining factor, the fact that this setup is like that. All our constraining factor will definitely be all the other sciences. But now that we have this working, we can see over on this science, all of this is now coming in, and we will be working at this, burning through it at 347 per second. And we have the rocket launching. Funny how it's completely quiet. Huh. Well, that was the quietest rocket launch I've ever heard. Weird. It's usually way too noisy, but not this time. As the science is just chugging along nicely, as you can see here, we're actually building up a stockpile for everything, and the only thing that we're kind of starting to miss is the yellow. That's going to be interesting. We can also see that the biters have expanded quite aggressively out here, and I want to go out and take them out, but I just felt like I wanted to do something different, and that means using the destroyer modules. So I am going to have these destroyer modules. I'm going to do that. Destroyer modules here. And I built this little design that was kind of convoluted, but it's pretty cool. It gets us to one of these working at all times. If and only if I make sure that I get enough of the ammunition in here. So if we get enough ammunition in here, then it'll flow over here, and all of these will working. There'll be 8 of these into 4 of these into 1 of those, and then we also have included here all of this the belted massness here means that you can build it pretty early in your base if you're still working on a bus. I think it's a pretty neat little one. It's something I've never built for a masterclass, but you know, it's pretty neat. So but that's just one thing, so that we can go out and explore some more. As well as that, we've built one more thing that we expanded, that is over here. Low density structure is now expanded to having 8 lanes coming in. That means this is going to be super busy on trying to keep up. That means we need lots more copper trains in here. We probably need to add a few more copper trains. Like the stuff on trains, like I'm not really going to be focusing on that. Like, okay, so how many trains do I have? That's kind of something that we just figure out while we play it. But what we should be looking at this point are the trends. What we can see now is we don't have any more, and that means we are probably going to start running out of blue circuits, red circuits, and green circuits. Whether it's in that order, but it'll definitely be those. And on top of that, steel, because this is the only steel we have, and that's just not enough. Right now, what are we building in terms of steel? We build 34, and if we just exclusively look at the purple science, how much does that require? It requires 82. So right now we have less than half of the steel production that the purple science needs. Yeah, that's obviously not working, and that's kind of the bigger issue right now, is the acute lack of iron patches. We have these 3 that go in here, making iron, and we have another patch over here that also goes in here and makes more iron. So that's basically what we have to work with, and that's also quite obviously not enough for our needs at this point. So we're gonna have to build more of those, and that will be the focus at this point. Scaling up our sciences, and then see where things break. The first thing we want to do is obviously starting with the red and green. The green circuit, because this one is obviously too small. We're getting out at 180 per second, but we need to, well, let's double it, right? And so it's doubled. And here we have now, that is 360 per second, and it's now going into 2 locations here. I'm going to have 2 locations inbound for iron, 2 locations up here for steel, for copper, and 2 locations out here for greens. So at this point, I feel pretty confident. Greens are not going to be the first thing we're going to be running out of. So that's a good step forward. It does take a bit of time to build these kind of things. But, you know, what would be the next thing? Well, blue circuits would be probably a good candidate for the next thing to be expanding. Right here, we still have not enough green circuits coming in. But once we get the green circuits in, I'm sure that this will be a good opportunity to get that upgraded. We can use another green circuit coming in from the top. So let's double up the next one here. This is now upgraded for the blue circuits, and what you can also see is that when the science is working, it's working really well. I have even gone so far as to add a few more lanes here, so that now we have a maximum of, you should be seeing it up here, per minute, 500. So if we can get up to 500 and maintain at 500, then I feel it's a start. It's still really far away from the 932 that we want to we have as our target. But this is it's getting there, right? It's getting there. So we got the green ones upgraded. We got the blue ones now upgraded. That's really good. But what is going to be the problem with all of these modules? Well, you guessed it. I'm sure you guessed it. It wouldn't be really be a Nilaus stream if we didn't sort of have brownouts at random times. So what are we going to do? Let's have a look at it. Well, we don't have any space at all left. And if I expand out here, then we have a place that is completely landlocked that we can't really use for anything. So if I look at this, I can expand 2 more tiles here. But if I do expand those 2 tiles, then how am I going to get water into this? And don't say water drains. So my least bad option was actually taking the copper here that was usually at this point, and then moving it over to this location where I had the old purple science and the old rocket control units here. And now instead of that, I can now have this one open. Unfortunately, I'm going to be paving over this glorious little copper deposit that we've been struggling with earlier. So this will be our new rocket production here, or no, nuclear power production, and we'll be leaching the water from up here and then bring it in somehow like that. And there we have a new nuclear power plant, all water coming in from here, and it's set up and working, and we are now good in terms of power. Very good, no problem here. In the meantime, there has been a bloom of trees. Now there are trees everywhere again. Are we happy about it? No, we're not happy about it. But what can we do? What can we do? It is the force of chat that I must oblige. What we're seeing now is, and I think that's going to be really evident as we progress through this area here, what are the things that we'll be running out of, or what are the things that we are running out of and need to address at this point. We talked about it. Here is one step we want to make. We are definitely running out of additional modules. So what we need to do now, or what I've done here, is add some modules to the module maker, or beacons to the module maker, so we can get faster here. This also unfortunately means that most of our red circuits are now being consumed here, and a lot of our blue circuits, which again subsequently is a lot of our green and red, and so all of our circuits are now going into modules pretty much, because I want to make sure that we now upgrade these, because hey, I can get free stuff if I upgrade all of these productivity modules here. If I upgrade those, then I can get a much higher yield. Well, not much, but it goes for 8% to 20% yield. That is still pretty good. No, 8%. No, is it? No, 16% to 40%. So if I get 40% extra, yeah, that's a pretty damn good thing. So I'm going to do that, and that's what we are going to be working on here. Unfortunately, what this means is that stuff like this, it's not getting its inputs. No, it's getting the inputs, but here, for example, this one is having issues. This is supposed to get the reds, but since this is far away from the reds, once they finally get built, for example here, that's up to 12,000. When they get built, then they are more likely to be dropped off here because it's closer, so they will just keep feeding into this one. See, this one's open, and therefore it'll probably never really reach this location, the rocket control units, and that means our science is pretty much stuck right now. It's unfortunate, but that means that what we need to do is need to expand. So I've been out there exploring. Unfortunately, with all the stuff that we have explored, we have found no additional resources. I did clean up everything here, so that almost everything, it seems like. So I cleaned up almost everything here so that it won't spawn naturally. It only spawns with new sort of sub-spawned biter nests. And that means we won't be attacked as much. I'll be expanding out here, getting some more red circuits and getting some more steel set up as we try to scale up. But the main problem now is the hunt for iron. I will still continue to go out here, but even if we find something right here, it's still going to be a long time until we get it. So what I'm going to hope for is that we will get the new ore patch that will spawn some iron in, so we can get more iron patches and we can get more steel, and therefore keep scaling up as we continue out here. But we have a lot of scaling to do. Right now we are in the transition where everything is revolving around the speed of module production, so that's where most of our circuits will go into the module production from here on as we keep scaling up. So I hope that this was useful, interesting, fun, engaging, whatever the things are, or soporific, whatever adjective you want to put on it. I'll be streaming this, as I said, on Twitch TV/Nilaus on Tuesday, Thursdays, and Sundays at 8 p.m. Central European Time. I would recommend you drop by if you want to, because it's fun. We have a good time and talk about all sorts of other things. If you want to join but you can't join at that time, also the VODs are available on my second YouTube channel called Nilaus TV, link in the description below. So you can always watch the VODs if the live streams don't fit you, or you can just watch this one next week to catch up on what we've done in this week for the space. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you guys next time. Until then, take care, and as always, stay effective.